To quote Stevie Nicks, I think I have to go my own way.
That is definitely something I didn't expect.
For years, Aaron Kaufman was the bearded genius turning wrenches and chaos into horsepower gold on Fast and Loud. With his quick wit, impossible builds, and that unmistakable wild look in his eyes, he wasn't just fixing cars. He was fixing the show's heartbeat. Then, suddenly, he was gone. Viewers were left clutching their remote controls, asking, wait, did Gas Monkey just lose its monkey? Rumors flew faster than a twin-turbo Mustang. Burnout with Richard Rawlings? Burnout from fame? Or something deeper brewing under the hood?
Look behind you!
Behind the cameras, tempers flared, visions clashed, and the garage that built legends started to crack. What really drove Aaron to slam the brakes and walk out of TV's wildest car shop? Buckle up, because the truth behind his exit isn't just about engines and egos. It's about freedom, frustration, and one man's fight to steer his own destiny. So what really happened behind those garage doors? We are about to find out. The beginning of the break, when passion meets pressure. Before the fame, before the cameras, and long before the empire of Gas Monkey Garage became a household name, Aaron Kaufman was just a wild-eyed mechanic with grease under his fingernails and a mind that couldn't stop tinkering. He wasn't chasing TV stardom. He was chasing perfection. Every bolt, every weld, every line of a car told a story to him. To Aaron, machines weren't just metal. They were living, breathing art. That obsession with doing things the right way, fast but flawless, was both his superpower and, eventually, his undoing. When Fast and Loud hit the Discovery Channel in 2012, it was gasoline-soaked magic. Richard Rawlings was the showman, the loud, larger-than-life hustler with a knack for making deals and lighting cigars with $100 bills.
All right, cool. That's a deal, dude. 20 grand.
20 grand. He's a good negotiator.
Right on.
Aaron was his opposite. Quiet, methodical, and intensely technical. The kind of guy who could rebuild a '32 Ford in his sleep and still find a way to make it cooler. Together, they created a formula that viewers couldn't resist, chaos and creativity colliding under the roar of engines. But while the world saw friendship, fun, and flawless builds, what they didn't see was the growing tension brewing behind those garage doors. As the cameras rolled, the deadlines got tighter, the budgets thinner, and the expectations higher. Discovery wanted drama. Fans wanted faster turnarounds. Richard wanted profit. And Aaron? He just wanted perfection. To him, cars weren't meant to be rushed for ratings. They were meant to be built right, even if that meant taking an extra week or 3. But in the fast-paced world of reality TV, time is money, and perfection doesn't always fit into the shooting schedule. Each project became a tug-of-war between Aaron's craftsmanship and the network's clock. There were moments when you could see it, that flicker in Aaron's eyes as he argued over a build's direction or shook his head when something felt half-baked. He wasn't being difficult. He was being driven. His standard was sky-high, and the cameras weren't helping. Every time something had to be TV-ready instead of garage-ready, his patience wore thinner. Behind the scenes, the garage that once felt like a brotherhood started to feel like a business machine. Meetings replaced creativity. Scripts replaced spontaneity. And for someone like Aaron, who thrived on raw passion, not ratings, it felt like watching his dream rebuilt into something unrecognizable.
To me, it doesn't matter how big the tubs are, it doesn't matter a lot of things. I still want my truck to do truck stuff.
Friends close to the shop recall that Aaron often worked long after filming stopped. When the crew went home, he'd still be there, redoing work that was good enough for TV, but not good enough for him. It was his quiet rebellion, his way of holding on to the purity that had drawn him into the trade in the first place. Still, he stayed loyal. For years he kept pushing through even as the cracks grew wider, but eventually the thing that fueled him, his need for freedom and precision, became the very thing that couldn't survive within the Gas Monkey system. You can only keep a perfectionist in a pressure cooker for so long before something gives. And one day, it did. Without warning, the bearded man who built Fast and Loud walked out. No drama on camera, no farewell scene. Just a man who decided enough was enough. Fans were blindsided, headlines exploded, and rumors spread like wildfire. But for Aaron Kaufman, it wasn't about ego or money. It was about reclaiming something priceless, his peace, his passion, and his purpose. What could possibly push a man to leave fame, fortune, and a global fan base behind? The breaking point, when vision clashes with velocity. By the time Fast and Loud had cemented itself as one of Discovery Channel's biggest hits, the Gas Monkey Garage wasn't just a shop, it was a machine. Cameras rolled daily, deadlines were relentless, and the once laid-back workspace had turned into a production battlefield. For viewers, it looked like a dream gig, a group of mechanics flipping cars, cracking jokes, and making magic. But behind that edited laughter and high-octane montages, pressure hissed louder than a turbocharger under strain. Aaron Kaufman, the perfectionist, the craftsman, the thinker, was starting to suffocate. What once fueled his excitement now drained him. Each episode demanded a new build, often with impossible turnaround times. He'd look at a project and know instantly it deserved 3 weeks, but he was being told to finish it in 5 days. The result? Compromises.
We tried to do it as fast as possible, get this project done, get it moving along.
And that word was Aaron's kryptonite. The more the show grew, the less room there was for the kind of detail and innovation he loved. The cars were beautiful on screen, but Aaron saw the shortcuts. He felt every missed step like a crack in his own reflection. Good enough was becoming the norm, and to a man wired like Aaron, good enough was failure. Then came the creative clashes. Richard Rawlings, the flashy frontman with business in his blood, thrived on the spotlight and the speed. He understood entertainment. He wanted cars that would wow audiences and sell fast. Aaron, on the other hand, wanted builds that made engineers pause and nod in respect, cars that outlived the fame. Their chemistry, once the soul of the show, began to combust. What started as friendly banter soon became friction. Arguments over design direction, time limits, and authenticity began to eat away at their partnership. It wasn't hatred, it was heartbreak. Both men had built something iconic together, but their roads were diverging. Richard was driving full throttle toward stardom. Aaron was veering toward integrity. And the farther the Gas Monkey empire expanded, the more Aaron realized his vision no longer fit under that roof. Crew members later hinted that there were moments when Aaron's frustration boiled over. Late nights turned into long silences, and episodes that should have felt like victories felt hollow. "We're not building cars anymore," he reportedly told a friend. "TV." That sentence, quiet, simple, and weary, marked the beginning of the end. By late 2016, the tension had reached its red line. The garage wasn't just a workplace anymore. It was a pressure cooker of egos, expectations, and exhaustion. Aaron had sacrificed sleep, time, and sanity to keep the art alive, but the show demanded more than he was willing to give. He didn't just want to build cars. He wanted to create, to innovate, to push limits that TV deadlines couldn't accommodate. So, when the final straw came, a project that symbolized everything wrong with the system, Aaron made a choice few in his position would dare make. He turned his back on fame, fortune, and fan adoration and walked away. No fight, no grand exit, just quiet resolve and the click of a garage door closing behind him. The world saw it as sudden, but for Aaron it was years in the making. The moment he finally took back control of his craft, his sanity, and his freedom. But walking away from Fast and Loud was only the beginning. Freedom at full throttle, rebuilding the dream. When Kaufman walked out of Gas Monkey Garage, it wasn't a dramatic engine-roaring goodbye. No doors slammed, no fiery arguments caught on camera, just silence. The kind of silence that follows when a man decides to stop surviving and start living. And as that garage door closed for the last time, you could almost hear a collective gasp from fans worldwide. The beard was gone. The brains behind the builds had vanished. Gas Monkey without Aaron felt like rock and roll without the guitar. But here's the twist. Aaron wasn't quitting cars. Oh no, he was just shifting gears. After years of feeling boxed in by TV deadlines and production chaos, he was ready to do what he did best, build without boundaries. And so, like any true gearhead with grease in his veins and rebellion in his heart, he did what legends do. He started from scratch. Enter ArcLight Fabrication, Kaufman's new kingdom of creativity. No cameras, no forced drama, no deadlines dictated by producers, just pure, unfiltered craftsmanship. Located in Dallas, the same city that birthed Gas Monkey, it was poetic. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes of Burnout, Aaron's new shop was his declaration of independence. He wanted to prove that skill and passion, not television timelines, were the real horsepower behind any great build. And he didn't just build any cars. He went for the beasts that most mechanics wouldn't dare touch. His specialty? Ford trucks, the raw, rugged, unapologetic machines of American grit. If Gas Monkey was a rock concert, ArcLight was jazz, precise, soulful, and real. Every project had his fingerprint, every curve told a story, every weld sang freedom. Of course, in true Kaufman fashion, he didn't stay out of the spotlight for long. Discovery Channel came knocking again, this time offering him full control. The result? Shifting gears with Aaron Kaufman. Same beard, same brilliance, but this time, his rules. Viewers got a front-row seat to Aaron's unfiltered world. Fewer burnouts, more blueprints, less drama, more design. The show was slower, smarter, and refreshingly honest, much like the man himself. Still, running your own shop isn't exactly a Sunday drive. Freedom came with challenges. There were tight budgets, risky builds, and the ever-present question of whether viewers would trade fast-paced entertainment for authentic engineering. But for Aaron, the gamble was worth it. He wasn't chasing ratings anymore. He was chasing fulfillment. And humor? Oh, he never lost that. Kaufman has always had that dry, almost accidental kind of comedy. The kind that sneaks in between torque specs and turbo installs. When asked about leaving Gas Monkey, he once quipped, "Well, I wanted to get back to building cars, not just pretending to be on TV." Classic Kaufman. Humble, witty, and brutally honest. Over time, ArcLight fabrication became more than a business. It was his redemption arc. Fans who once mourned his departure now saw him thriving, doing what he loved, the way he wanted. No filters, no scripts, just raw passion and a lot of metal. And perhaps that's the greatest irony of all. He became even more legendary. His story turned from a tale of TV drama into something far more inspiring, a blueprint for creative freedom. But here's the burning question. After all the fame, the freedom, and the freshly forged path, did the mech truly find what he was looking for? Or did the road to independence come with a cost no one saw coming? The story doesn't end there. Life after the spotlight. Lessons, legacy, and letting go. Freedom, as Aaron Kaufman quickly learned, comes with a price tag, and it's not paid in dollars, but in discipline. After leaving Fast and Loud and launching ArcLight Fabrication, he'd traded the blinding glow of TV fame for the softer, steadier light of authenticity.
So that's one of the things I want to talk about the vacation and maybe extending it a little bit further.
What?
Had some time off.
But just because he wasn't on camera every week didn't mean life got easier. In fact, it got real, fast. Running your own garage is one thing. Building a brand from the ground up is another. Suddenly, Aaron wasn't just the master fabricator. He was also the boss, the bookkeeper, the marketer, and sometimes the guy sweeping the floor at 2 a.m. And yet there was something beautifully honest about it. No fake deadlines, no exaggerated TV drama. Just a man, his tools, and the stubborn pursuit of perfection. For the first time in years, Aaron could breathe. He could spend a week designing a single part if he wanted to. He could experiment, fail, and fix without anyone yelling, "We're losing daylight," from behind a camera. It was quiet, almost too quiet. Fans noticed the shift too. Some missed the banter and chaos of Gas Monkey.
My vacation from Gas Monkey is going to be a permanent one.
Others admired the maturity of ArcLight's slower, more thoughtful pace. Either way, Aaron wasn't building for them anymore. He was building for him. But the thing about being a perfectionist is that the bar never stops moving. Even freedom comes with its own form of pressure. The pressure to live up to your own legend. And Aaron, ever the thinker, began to evolve again. He started exploring new frontiers. Custom engineering projects, off-road builds, and design work that pushed the limits of mechanical imagination. He even returned to television briefly with shows like Aaron Needs a Job, where he traveled across America, diving into different industries, from locomotive engineering to firefighting equipment, rediscovering his love for craftsmanship in all its forms. It wasn't about fame anymore. It was about curiosity. You could see it in his eyes. That same spark he had back in the early Gas Monkey days, before the cameras, before the deadlines, before the brand wars. He had come full circle, back to what started it all, the love of building something real. Humorously, Aaron once joked that his beard had seen more rebuilds than some of his trucks, and maybe he wasn't wrong, because in a way, his post-Fast and Loud life was a rebuild, not of metal but of meaning. The fame, the pressure, the fans, all stripped away until only the core remained. A man, a dream, and a determination to do things his way, no matter how long it took. And while he's not as visible on TV these days, his influence still hums through the automotive world like a finely tuned engine. He inspired a generation of mechanics, builders, and dreamers to care more about craft than clout. His story became a quiet anthem for anyone who's ever chosen passion over paycheck, principle over popularity. Sure, he could have stayed with Fast and Loud, played the celebrity mechanic forever and cashed in, but Aaron Kaufman didn't want to be a brand. He wanted to be better. And maybe that's the real heart of his story. It's not about the fame he left behind or the garage he built afterward. It's about the rare courage it takes to walk away from what the world says is success and chase what truly matters. So, did Kaufman find what he was looking for? Maybe not perfection, but peace. And for a man who once built cars that outran everything else on the road, learning to slow down might just be his greatest build yet. But here's the thing. Legends never stay parked for long. Under the hood of controversy, the myths, misunderstandings, and the man behind it all. Of course, no story about a man as fiercely independent and unapologetically passionate as Aaron Kaufman would be complete without a few bumps in the road. For all his brilliance, Aaron's career hasn't been free of controversy, though in true Kaufman style, even his scandals were more about principle than publicity. From the moment he stepped out of Gas Monkey Garage, rumors began spinning faster than a supercharged crankshaft. Some fans claimed he and Richard Rawlings had a massive falling out, shouting matches, creative betrayal, even money disputes. Others whispered that Aaron was simply too difficult to work with, too much of a perfectionist for the high-speed world of television. The truth, as always, was more complicated and more human. Aaron himself never went on a mudslinging spree. While fans expected drama, he gave them honesty. When asked in interviews about Richard or Fast and Loud, he stayed respectful but firm, admitting that their creative visions simply stopped aligning. There was no sabotage, no secret feud, just two men chasing different roads. Still, that didn't stop tabloids and online gossip from fueling the Aaron versus Richard narrative. In fact, the internet practically turned their split into the Beatles' breakup of car TV. Then there were the critics who claimed Kaufman's new shop, Arclight Fabrication, wasn't living up to his Fast and Loud reputation. Some complained that his builds took too long or that his focus on Ford trucks felt too niche. But fans who truly understood him knew better. Aaron wasn't chasing mass appeal anymore. He was chasing mastery.
When you're talking about you spend all this time, turning all the voices off in your head and then trying to turn it back on? Yeah.
His pace wasn't slow. It was intentional. Even his return to TV with Shifting Gears with Aaron Kaufman drew controversy. Viewers who expected wild antics and cinematic explosions were instead treated to quiet focus, technical talk, and the art of mechanical precision. Some called it boring, while others hailed it as real automotive TV at last. Aaron didn't seem to care either way. As he once quipped, "If you want drama, you're in the wrong garage." Another hot topic that stirred discussion was his blunt honesty about the car industry itself. In several interviews, Kaufman criticized the way modern car culture sometimes prioritizes fame and flash over true craftsmanship. He didn't mince words about how reality TV often sacrifices authenticity for ratings, comments that rubbed some producers and industry insiders the wrong way. But that's Kaufman, never malicious, always real. There were also whispers that Aaron could be hard to please as a boss, demanding near impossible precision, expecting his crew to match his perfectionist standards. Those who worked with him, however, paint a different picture. A man who demanded excellence because he gave excellence. He wasn't harsh. He was hungry for greatness and wanted everyone around him to grow the same way. Through every controversy, one thing remained unshakably clear. Aaron Kaufman never sold out. He could have played the fame game, cashed in on the celebrity mechanic lifestyle, and ridden the wave of reality TV for decades. But instead, he chose to keep his hands dirty, his work pure, and his principles intact. In the end, Aaron's controversies weren't about scandal. They were about standards. He refused to fake it for fame. And that alone made him polarizing in a world obsessed with speed and spectacle. Love him or not, everyone respected him, because whether you agree with his methods or not, Aaron Kaufman did something few dare to do. He lived and worked entirely on his own terms. And maybe that's his greatest legacy of all, proving that controversy fades, Fame flickers, but authenticity? That's forever. So, as the dust of debate settles and the engines quiet down, one thing's certain: Aaron Kaufman may have left fast and loud, but the world of cars will never stop chasing the kind of integrity he left behind. The legacy of a lone builder. Beyond fame, beyond fast and loud.
You're talking about you spent all this time, turning all the voices off in your head and then trying to turn it back on?
Yeah.
As the years rolled on, the world kept spinning, engines kept roaring, and Fast and Loud eventually slowed to a stop. But while some fans moved on to the next flashy automotive show, true gearheads never forgot the man who made mechanical genius look effortless: Aaron Kaufman. His quiet departure had left a void no new cast member could fill. And though he no longer stood beside Richard Rawlings under the bright shop lights, his fingerprints were still all over the DNA of what made that show special. Aaron didn't just build cars, he built connections. Every viewer who watched him meticulously fabricate a part or dive into an impossible deadline could feel his love for the craft. There was no ego, no showboating, just skill, patience, and a spark of mischief that made even the toughest builds entertaining. That authenticity became his brand long after the cameras stopped rolling.
No, you're the one that hasn't been here. You tell me.
Well, I didn't expect there to be driving out in the middle of it as well, the drifting.
Meanwhile, ArcLight fabrication continued evolving. Aaron kept his focus small, intimate, and meaningful, prioritizing quality over quantity. He never chased expansion or mass production, he chased satisfaction. The shop became a haven for craftsmen who believed in his philosophy, that art and mechanics are one and the same when done with passion. It wasn't about creating the loudest or flashiest builds, it was about creating something that lasted. Fans who met him at car events often remarked that he was exactly as he seemed on TV: humble, funny, and intensely intelligent. He'd talk torque ratios one minute and crack a deadpan joke the next. That rare combination of brilliance and humor kept him grounded, even as fame still followed him everywhere he went.
The one thing, because I only have a vague understanding based on just watching some stuff.
Yet, true to form, Aaron never let nostalgia hold him back. Instead, he became a mentor figure in the car community, supporting small builders, independent garages, and younger mechanics finding their way. He'd show up to a car meet, beard blowing in the breeze, quietly checking out someone's custom engine, and then offer advice so insightful it could change their whole approach. His story, from being the unsung hero of Gas Monkey Garage to walking away from television's biggest car show, became a symbol of creative courage. People saw in Aaron something rare: the power to say no when the world says yes, to walk away not in anger but in clarity, to redefine success not by ratings or revenue but by respect, self-respect most of all. And if you think he's done, think again. Aaron's never been the kind of guy to ride off into the sunset and stay gone. Every so often whispers surface of new prototypes, secret projects, or a potential return to screens under his own terms. Nothing confirmed, of course, because that's the Kaufman way, quietly building something extraordinary while everyone else is busy talking. It's funny when you think about it. The man who left a show called Fast and Loud ended up teaching everyone that true greatness doesn't need to be fast, and it doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be real. In the end, Kaufman didn't just leave Fast and Loud, he outgrew it. He walked away not because he failed the show, but because the show could no longer contain him. He became proof that authenticity still matters, that passion still wins, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is turn the ignition off and start a brand new engine. So, as the dust settles and the echoes of Gas Monkey's roaring engines fade into history, one question lingers in every fan's mind. What's next for the man who built an empire, walked away from it, and still came out on top? Whatever it is, one thing's certain: when Aaron Kaufman decides to fire up the next chapter, the world will be watching and listening for that unmistakable sound of a dream coming back to life. But the big question is, could Aaron be gearing up for another surprise return, another revolution in the world of custom builds? Only time and torque will tell. And that's it from us today. Until next time, thank you for watching.